Alright, guys. It is Tuesday, August 29th, 2023 at 1:20 p.m. Alright, guys, we have a hurricane on our hands. Alright, let's take a look at dailyversus.net versus the day first. It says, "For the flesh desires what is contrary to the spirit, and the spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other, so that you are not to do whatever you want." Galatians 5:17. Alright, guys, let's take a look at the National Hurricane Center. This is the spread we have here. We have Hurricane Idalia, we have Hurricane Franklin, we have Tropical Depression 11 out in the Atlantic. Then we have by Africa a disturbance 2 with 20% chance of cyclone formation in 48 hours. Let's take a look at Idalia. Hurricane Idalia is the maximum sustained winds of 75 knots or 85 mile per hour winds right now. Minimum central pressure of 976 millibars. Located at 24.6 north, 84.8 west. Movement north at 12 knots or 14 miles an hour. Let's take a look at Hurricane Idalia's key messages. It says catastrophic impact from storm surge inundation of 10 to 15 feet above ground level, and destructive waves are expected somewhere between Idalia River and Yankeetown, Florida. Life-threatening storm surge inundation is likely elsewhere along portions of the Florida Gulf Coast where a storm surge warning is in effect. Residents, in these areas should follow any advice or evacuation orders given by local officials. 2. There is the potential for destructive, life-threatening winds where the core of Idalia moves onshore in the Big Bend Town region of Florida, with hurricane conditions expected elsewhere in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Florida Gulf Coast. Strong winds will also spread inland across portions of northern Florida and southern Georgia near the track of the center of Idalia, where hurricane winds are in effect. Residents in these areas should be prepared for long-duration power outages. Please remember, residents in these areas should be prepared for long-duration power outages. This could mean up to 2 weeks or more without power. Alright, guys? This is very important. Number 3, areas of flash and urban flooding, some of which may be locally significant, are expected across portions of the west coast of Florida, the Florida Panhandle, and the southern Georgia into Tuesday and Wednesday, spreading into portions of the eastern Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina, and parts of Georgia, guys. Wednesday into Thursday. So areas of flash and urban flooding are expected into Florida, southern Georgia, and parts of the Carolinas. Heavy rainfall from Tropical Storm Idalia is expected across portions of western Cuba and may produce areas of flash flooding and urban flooding as well as landslides. So please pay attention as well, Cuba. We are expecting places of flash flooding, urban flooding, and landslides. Alright, guys, so that's the key messages for Hurricane Idalia today, August 29th. Alright, let's go to the next description thing. Is peak storm surge forecast. We have storm surge from 10 to 15 feet between Idalia River and Yankeetown. This is where the storm is supposed to make landfall in the big curve, the little curve here of the Florida Panhandle. It's going to come in and it's going to bring in waves of 10 to 15 feet. So please be aware. Alright, parts of Tampa Bay 4 to 7 feet. Charlotte Harbor 2 to 4 feet. The Florida Keys 1 to 2 feet. And out in South Carolina and Georgia 2 to 4 feet. From South Carolina to North Carolina 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. Alright, guys, so it is going to bring a lot of water. Please be aware of, as this graphic brings, flooding, risk of flash flooding. We have marginal in the green, that's at least 5% flooding, slight, at least 15% in the yellow, moderate, at least 40% flooding in the orange or the red, and purple, pink, at least 70%. Alright, so we have red, yellow, and green here. We have at least 40% of flooding in the Tallahassee, all the way to South Carolina, and parts of southern North Carolina, with all the rainfall that this storm is going to be bringing. There's also at least 15% from Tampa Bay all the way to Tallahassee, parts of Atlanta, Knoxville, parts of Raleigh and Charlotte. And marginal, at least 5% flooding in Montgomery, Birmingham, Nashville, parts of Orlando, Tampa Bay, and Miami, and Richmond, Virginia. So this storm is widespread. It's going to affect a lot of the South with rain and wind and flooding, guys. Flooding is coming. So please be aware of that. Alright, next here is the rainfall in inches. We have 6 to 10 inches in Tallahassee area, parts of the Bend here. We have rainfall coming into southeastern Georgia, parts of southeastern South Carolina, and North Carolina, from 6 to 10 inches of rain, from 4, as well as some green, which is 2 to 4 inches of rain in parts of Central Florida and the rest of the southern part of Florida. Alright, guys, so it's going to be interesting seeing all the water this storm is bringing. It is bringing a lot of water. Here is Idalia right now. It is already affecting parts of the southwestern parts of Florida. The bands are already affecting the Florida area. And here you see it churning in the Gulf of Mexico. Alright, let's take a look at it so you can see it heading north from Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula and the Gulf of Mexico, bringing rain already to parts of Florida and parts of the Panhandle as the outer band brings rain in. Alright, guys, so this is going to be an intense storm, guys. I'm hearing from 140 mile per hour winds possible with the storm. That is a Category 4 hurricane. It is forecasted to be a Category 3 hurricane, but it could reach into a Category 4 if it really pushes it. I don't know if it could reach into a Category 5 if it does intensify way before landfall, but I am not 100% sure on that, so I'm not going to really state that it could be a Category 5 yet until I see that they announce that it could be a Category 5. I'm going to leave that in the hands of God. Alright, guys, that's it. Please pray for Florida. The landfall is tonight, into the morning hours of Wednesday morning, into the crook of the Florida Panhandle. So please pray for the people of Florida. Please stay prayed up. Pray for your neighbors. Watch over each other. Make sure you have the gear you need to feed your pets and to feed yourself. Make sure you know that the possibility of at least 2 to more weeks of power outages. So it could be more than 2 weeks of no power in some areas. So please be prepared for that. Have the candles, have the flashlights, have the generators you need, have the things you need, and the stockpiled food that you need to survive through this. Alright, guys, that's it for this video. See you guys next time. God bless and stay safe.